SABC News reporter Katlego Nyoni joins us to expand on this. Katlego, very good evening to you. I mean, you've spent some time engaging with the content and really getting some ideas on what scientists are doing. And what has come out of this discussion, of course, is that scientists agree that the role of innovation in agricultural research can help combat malnutrition. What did they set to achieve at this meeting?
Well, certainly those are some of the critical points that were mentioned on, the second day of this meeting of chief agricultural scientists, which is currently taking place in Polokwane. Key to the ideas that need to be exchanged among the scientists of the G20 member nations is ways that can ensure the transformation of food systems. Now, this explores the chain from the production phase, which is at farms, to the processing, the distribution, the consumption of food, and eventually the disposing process of food, saying that they need to change and they need to be sustainable, ensuring that sustainability in farms will ensure that there is a food security throughout the globe as well, mainly in poorer nations. As we've seen in that package, the African Union is also taking part in this summit that is currently taking place in Polokwane. So now they say they are leveraging on the fact that South Africa is currently holding the presidency of the G20 as we anticipate that leaders summit in November in Gauteng. Members of the African Union are saying that there is 60% of untapped arable land that has not yet been exploited. So now all these ways need to be sustainable in order to ensure that there is innovation in agriculture as well as inclusive economic growth within agriculture as well as the empowering of SMMEs and innovation. Now this came out during some of the technical sessions on the first 2 days. That meeting ends tomorrow.
One of the guests that you were speaking to have said that it's important for farmers to have access to knowledge that's adequate to their reality on the ground. What were some of those realities that were put to the forefront for scientists to explore?
Well, speaking to agronomist Marcelo Morandi from the G20 nation of Brazil, he mentions that it's a challenge for farmers to ensure that the ideas that are being exchanged, the scientific knowledge that is being deliberated upon, eventually becomes adopted and is translated into policy. Of course, policymakers are part of this particular meeting. However, it has been challenging throughout the world from what scientists are saying they have observed. So now engagements need to continue. This will not only be the only time that this agricultural chief scientists will meet. There are still going to be ongoing deliberations as we head towards that leaders summit in November. So now the ideas among scientists is to ensure that agricultural research gets funding from governments within all the nations that are participating in this meeting, especially particularly emerging markets as well as poorer nations in your sub-Saharan Africa and other parts of the world.
Katlego, how significant could the transformation of food systems be as one looks to the current challenges and the impact of the food value chain?
This information is going to be certainly be important, particularly looking at the fact that the globe is currently grappling with the harsh effects of climate change. We saw towards the end of 2024, some of the farms in provinces like Limpopo, for example, were affected by the black frost. There were heat waves as well as flooding. So now the scientists are saying whatever that is being discussed at this summit, at this gathering rather, needs to trickle down, particularly to small-scale farmers, emerging farmers, who are not competing at a similar level as your commercial farmers. However, all kinds of farming, be it subsistence or commercial, needs to apply sustainable ways of agriculture. For example, Marcelo Morandi from Brazil mentioned something very interesting to me, that nation has implemented what is called, biological nitrogen fixation, which essentially means that they're using natural fertilizers in that particular part of the world. So now this idea came from scientists. So they're trying to implement all those great ideas into one big idea that will benefit the globe in particular.
Very well, Katlego Nyoni, leaving that discussion there. Of course, some feedback on what has come out of the G20 agricultural researchers coming to the fore at the G20 meeting of chief agricultural scientists in Polokwane, Limpopo. Our SABC reporter Katlego Nyoni giving us an update.